Today we will solve O-Level Physics 5054, Paper 1, Variant 2, May-June 19 and questions from 1 to 20. Okay, it is O-Level Paper 5054, Paper 1, Variant 2, May-June 19. We will move to the first question. Question number 1. Which reading is given by 1/10 of a millimeter? Okay, 1/10 of a millimeter is equal to 0.01 centimeter. So the only option is option B, 3.31 centimeter. Question number 2. A woman runs 2 kilometers from X to Y in 20 minutes, then rests at Y for 10 minutes. She then takes 10 minutes to run 1.6 kilometers from Y to Z. What is the size of her average velocity for the journey from X to Z? Okay, here we have to calculate the velocity. Velocity is defined as total displacement covered in total time. There is a difference in between average speed and average velocity. If it is asked what is average speed, then we have to divide total distance by total time, and if it is asked what is average velocity, then we have to divide total displacement by total time. And what is displacement? Displacement is the minimum distance or shorter distance in between initial and final point. So we can say our displacement is the distance from the point X to point Z, means displacement is 2.4. So we have to calculate average velocity. We have to divide total displacement by total time. Displacement is 2.4. So we will divide 2.4 by total time. Now what is the time taken? Time taken is say first 20 minutes, then 10 minutes rest, then 10 minutes to move from point Y to point Z. So total time is 40 minutes. So we have to divide 2.4 by 40, and by solving this one we got the answer 0.06. So option A is the correct option, 0.06 kilometer per minute. Question number 3. A cyclist traveling in a straight line at 8 meter per second accelerates to 12 meter per second in a time of 6 seconds. Which expression gives the cyclist acceleration? Okay, acceleration is given as final velocity minus initial velocity over time, or we can define acceleration as the rate of change of velocity. So here final velocity is 12, initial velocity is 8 and time taken is 6. So option D is the correct option. Question number 4. The diagram shows the distance time graph for a moving object. Okay, here it is a graph in between time and distance, and from the graph it is clear that an object is moving and after some time the object stops, because with the increase in time there is no increase in distance. So we can say our object is stopped here. Okay, now we read the options. What is the moving object? Option A, a ball thrown vertically upward and falling back to the thrower. Option B, a car starting from rest is speeding up as it moves away from the traffic signal. Option C, a rock dropped from a high cliff falling into a sea blow. Option D, a train braking to a halt as it stops at a station. Okay, in option D, it is given that the object stops. So our option D is correct option, because from the graph it is clear that the object is stopped. With the increase in time, with the passage of time, there is no increase in distance. So correct option is option D. Question number 5. Four of the gravitational forces that act between bodies in the solar system are listed below. P, the force on the moon due to earth. Okay, here it is a force that is acting on moon due to earth. Q, the force on the earth due to sun. It is force Q, it is acting on earth due to sun. R, the force on the earth due to moon. It is force R, it is acting on earth due to moon. S, the force on the moon due to sun. It is force S that is acting on moon due to sun. Which two forces are a Newton's third law pair, action and reaction? Okay, first we should know what is Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law of motion states if an object A exerts a force on object B, then object B will also exert an equal and opposite force on object A. Suppose it is object A, it is acting a force on object B that is represented by R. Now object B is also exerting a force on object M that is represented by P. So we can say here is a pair, one is called action and second one is called reaction. So it is in accordance with Newton's third law of motion. So our correct option is option B, because in option B it is given the pair P and R. In other options there is only action, there is no reaction, so we cannot consider S and Q. So our correct option is option B. Question number 6. A parachutist of mass 60 kg falls at a steady speed of 10 meters per second. The gravitational field strength G is 10 Newton per kg. What is the upward force acting on the parachutist? Okay, here we have to calculate the upward force. The parachutist is moving at a steady speed. Steady speed means it is moving at a terminal velocity, and at terminal velocity upward force is equal to downward force. Now downward force is equal to weight of the object. If we calculate the downward force, that will be equal to upward force. So here we have to calculate the downward force that is equal to weight of the object. Now weight is given as mass into gravitational field strength. Mass is given 60 kg. Gravitational field strength is given 10 Newton per kg. So we have to multiply these two values and we got the answer 600 Newton. So we can say the downward force or weight of the object is 600 Newton. Since the object is in terminal velocity and he is moving at steady speed, so we can say this downward force will also be equal to upward force. So our correct option is option D. Upward force is equal to 600 Newton. Question number 7. A force moves a box up a rough surface. Okay, here is a box. The box is moving up on a rough surface. The diagram shows four forces acting on the body. Here are four forces A, B, C and D that are acting on this object. Which is the force due to friction on the box? Here we have to find out the direction of the frictional force. Okay, frictional force is always in opposite direction of the moving object. If the object is moving in the direction of A, then the frictional force will be in opposite direction, and in opposite direction there is a force C. So direction of the frictional force or force due to friction is C. So correct option is C. Question number 8. The mass of object P is greater than the mass of the object Q. Okay, here we have two objects, one of mass P which is greater and second object with mass Q that is lesser than P. The objects contain different amount of matter and have a different resistance to change of motion. Okay, which row is correct? Okay, here one thing we have to remember, that greater mass means greater inertia. So more mass, more difficult to change its state. So we can say if mass is greater, then inertia will be more. Now here in object P, amount of matter or mass is greater. So we can say inertia in P will also be greater than the object Q. So our correct option is option A. Greater amount of matter in object P, greater resistance to change in motion also in P. Next question. Four objects of different masses are situated in places where different gravitational field strength. Which object has the greatest weight? Okay, weight is given as product of mass and gravitational field strength. Now here just we have to calculate the value of weight and we have to find out where is the greatest weight. In option A, weight is equal to m into g, m is equal to 3 and g is given 10.4. Now product of 3 and 10.4 is equal to 31.2. In the same manner, we have calculated weight in option B, option C and option D. And now it is clear that in the option C, weight is 40.8 Newton, that is greatest. In other option, weight is less than 40.8 Newton. So our correct option is option C. Question number 10. A uniform meter rule is balanced by a 4 Newton weight as shown. Okay, here is a meter rule. It is balanced by providing a force of 4 Newton at the edge of this meter rule at this end. Okay, here is a pivot and at the pivot it is balanced. What is weight W of the meter rule? It is asked what is weight of the meter rule. The topic is related to moment. In moment, it is defined in an equilibrium, clockwise moment is equal to anti-clockwise moment. Okay, here we have a force that is equal to W. It is acting at at this point. Now the distance from this point to the pivot is equal to 40 centimeter. Why 40? Because from 0 to this point the distance is 50. Pivot is at 10 centimeter from the edge. So we can say the distance from the pivot to the weight W is equal to 40 centimeter. Here we have to find out clockwise moment and anti-clockwise moment. Since the object is in equilibrium, so we can say clockwise moment is equal to anti-clockwise moment. Now clockwise moment is equal to W multiplied by perpendicular distance from the force to the pivot. This distance is the perpendicular distance and is equal to 40 centimeter. So we can say clockwise moment is equal to W multiplied by 40 and anti-clockwise moment will be equal to 4 multiplied by this distance, that is equal to 10 centimeter. So anti-clockwise moment is equal to 4 into 10. Now by solving this one, we got W is equal to 1 Newton. So weight of the meter rule is 1 Newton. So option A is the correct option. Question number 11. A large hook sticks into a pencil. The hook and pencil are balanced on the edge of the table. This combination of hook and pencil is balanced at edge of the table. Where is the center of mass of the hook and pencil? The point where it is balanced is center of mass of the object. Now it is passing to the point B, so we can say our correct option is option B. It is balanced on the edge of the table. It is balanced on the edge of the table. So at this point is the center of mass or center of gravity. So center of mass is passing through the point B. So correct option is option B. Okay, next question, question number 12. The diagram shows a graph of load against extension for a material at which point is the limit of proportionality. Okay, the topic is related to Hooke's law. What is the limit of proportionality? Limit of proportionality is a maximum point where the graph between load and extension is a straight line. So here we are looking that after the point A it is no more a straight line. So point A is the correct option. It is limit of proportionality. Okay. Question number 13. A length of metal wire is made from a radioactive isotope of the metal. The diagram shows masses suspended from the end of the wire. The masses are removed from the wire. Okay, first thing, here we have a metal wire. It is made from a radioactive isotope and some object is suspended from this metal wire. What will happen when we suspend an object from the metal wire? There will be a stretch, there will be an extension in the metal wire, or we can say length of this wire will be increased. Now what happens if we remove these masses, these objects? When we will remove these masses or the object that is hang from the wire, the length of the wire will be decreased. The extension will be decreased. Now we read our options. Option A, half-life of the isotope. B, length of the wire. C, mass of the wire. D, melting point of the metal. Now it is clear that option B is the correct option. The length will be decreased, or we can say length of the wire will be changed. So correct option is option B. Question number 14. The diagram shows a manometer containing mercury that is sealed at one end. Here we have a U-shaped tube. It is sealed from one end and open from the other end. What happened to the distance h when the manometer is taken higher up a mountain? When we will take this manometer to a mountain, what will happen? At the mountain, atmospheric pressure decreases, and because of the atmospheric pressure, because of decrease in atmospheric pressure, the length of the mercury in the open column will increase. When the length of the mercury in the open column increase, then in the other column, in the sealed column, it will decrease. Now what will happen? Here mercury level is increasing, here mercury level is decreasing, so the difference in these two will be decreased. So this H will be decreased. Now we will read our option. In option A, it decreases because atmospheric pressure decreases with height, so it is the correct option. Here this H will be decreased when we will take this manometer up a mountain, because at a mountain or at a height atmospheric pressure decreases. Question number 15. The pressure on the gas contained in a sealed syringe is slowly doubled. The volume of the gas halves. What must be true about the density and the temperature of the gas? Okay, the topic is related to Boyle's law. Boyle's law states that at a constant temperature, volume of a gas is inversely proportional to applied pressure. If pressure is doubled, volume will be halved. So in this case, temperature will remain constant. So in option C, we are looking that the temperature remains constant. In all the other remaining options, it is not given that the temperature remains constant. So other options are not possible. Only correct option is option C. Okay, we also check what about the density. Density is given as mass per unit volume. We are looking that the volume of the gas is half. Half means volume is decreasing. Now since the volume is decreasing, so we can say density will increase. So our correct option is option C. Density increases and temperature remains constant. Question number 16. An object is lifted, which expression gives the increase in gravitational potential energy of the object. Okay, gravitational potential energy is given as mgh, where this m is mass of the object, g is gravitational field strength, and this h is height. Okay, this m mass and gravitational field strength product of m and g is called weight. So we can also say that gravitational potential energy is a product of weight and height. Now we read our options. Option A, mass multiplied by its velocity. B, mass multiplied by its acceleration. C, the rate at which work is done. D, weight multiplied by the increase in height. So option D is the correct option. Question number 17. The diagram shows a small car of mass 500 kg approaching a hill. It moves up the hill with a constant speed. The gravitational field strength G is 10 Newton per kilogram. Ignoring friction, how much work is done in moving the car up the hill? up the hill. Here the height is given 10 meter. Now we have to calculate work done. Work done will be equal to gain in gravitational potential energy because here height is increasing. Now gravitational potential energy is given as mgh. M is given here how much? M is given 500 kg. G gravitational field strength it is given 10. This height is given 10 and by multiplying all these values we got the answer 50,000 joules, or in scientific notation we can write 5 into 10 power 4 joules. So correct option is option B. Question number 18. Which method of producing electricity does not use an AC generator? Option A geothermal power station, option B solar panels, option C wave energy generators, option D wind turbines. The option B is the correct option, solar panels. In solar panels AC generator is not required. In all the other options electricity is generated by using an AC generator. Question number 19. Three solar panels have a total area of 7.2 meters square. Together they produce 1 kilowatt of power. An area of 1 meter square of each panel receives 0.8 kilojoule of energy from the sun in 1 second. What is the efficiency of the solar panels? Okay, here we have to find out the efficiency in percentage. Okay, efficiency is given as useful output over input. Now here it is given they produce 1 kilowatt of power. It means it is our useful output and it is given in power. Okay, what about the input power? Input is given as it is given. It receives 0.8 kilojoule of energy from 1 meter square of the panel. Now total area of the panel is 7.2 meter square. So total energy received will be equal to 7.2 multiplied by 0.8 kilojoule. And now for the input power, whatever be the product of these two values, we have to divide by 1. So we can say the input power will be equal to 7.2 multiplied by 0.8 divided by 1. Okay, now it is our output, it is our input. Output is divided by input multiplied by 100 and we got the answer 17.3%. So we can say efficiency of the solar panel is approximately equal to 17% and the option B is the correct option. So our answer is B. Question number 20. A student suggests three different definitions for power. Number 1. Energy transferred per second. Yes, it is correct. Energy per unit time is called power. Option 2. Force multiplied by distance moved. No, it is not power, it is work done because work done is defined as a product of force and the distance moved. So option D is incorrect. Option 3, rate of doing work. Yeah, it is correct. Rate of doing work is called power. So our option 1 and option 3 is correct. Option 1 and option 3 is given in C. So correct answer is C. Correct option is C. Okay, today we have completed up to question number 20. The remaining questions from 21 to 40 we will do in the next session.